Welcome to Alpha Tutorials. Take a look at this scale. When one group holds an absolute monopoly on power, the entire system loses stability. The people on the outside are left with nothing to stand on. That is why modern systems use power sharing. It is the intentional division of control among multiple distinct groups. By breaking up authority, you prevent any single entity from achieving absolute dominance. Implementing a reliable power-sharing mechanism determines whether a democracy thrives or whether a nation tears itself apart. To see this in action, look at this demographic map of Belgium. The country is split. 59% of the population lives in the yellow region and speaks Dutch, while 40% lives in the red region and speaks French. Notice what happens when we zoom into the capital city of Brussels. The demographics completely invert. Here, the French-speaking minority makes up 80% of the population, while the Dutch-speaking majority shrinks to just 20%. This exact demographic mismatch can easily lead to conflict. Belgium solved it through accommodation. They amended their constitution to mandate an equal number of Dutch and French-speaking ministers in the central government, ignoring the overall population imbalance. Let's contrast that with Sri Lanka in the 1950s. Instead of accommodation, the government adopted a policy of majoritarianism. In 1956, they passed an act recognizing Sinhala as the only official language, systematically favoring Sinhala speakers for government jobs and university positions. By cutting the Tamil minority out of the system, the government alienated 18% of its own population. The resulting alienation escalated political tension directly into a devastating civil war. When political scientists study these two examples, they categorize the necessity of power sharing into two distinct arguments, the prudential and the moral. The prudential reason is a practical survival tactic. By giving diverse groups a share of control, you reduce the possibility of conflict and ensure long-term political stability for the entire nation. The moral reason is an ethical requirement. It is the very spirit of democracy. Citizens must have a participatory stake in the system for the government to be considered legitimate. Let's test your understanding. Did Sri Lanka fail because it ignored the prudential reason or the moral reason? Pause the video and think. They ignored both. They failed the moral test by excluding the Tamils from representation, and they failed the prudential test by triggering a civil war. It proves that the tyranny of the majority ultimately brings ruin to the majority as well. In modern democracies, power sharing takes four structural forms. Look at this arrangement. Horizontal power sharing. The legislature, executive, and judiciary are placed on the exact same level. No single organ has unlimited power, maintaining a strict system of checks and balances. Second is vertical power sharing. Here, authority is delegated downward from a central national government to state and then local levels. This structure ensures regional issues are handled by regional leaders. Third, power is shared among different social groups. Systems will frequently allocate reserved constituencies to ensure that linguistic groups or weaker sections of society, like scheduled castes and tribes, have dedicated representation in the government. Finally, power is shared among political parties and pressure groups. When no single party wins an absolute majority, multiple political groups must combine their votes to form a coalition government, forcing them to share decision-making power. Here is the conceptual map for the entire chapter. We covered the Belgian and Sri Lankan outcomes, the prudential and moral arguments, the structural directions of power, and the social and political distributions. Screenshot this frame for your exam revision. Thanks for studying with Alpha Tutorials.